Hello, my name is Jasmine Lee, and I am not your mama's astrologer. Welcome to the week. Look at me doing it early for y'all. You're welcome. I feel like I am listening to the messages of this week with a big old full moon in Capricorn happening, and Capricorn is all about hard work and goals and sticking to the program. So here I am for you, sticking to the program. Look at me go, guys. Okay, so I said it once, I said it twice, I'll say it again today, Monday, though you might be listening to this on Sunday since I'm going to release it early, is the Super Bowl party game of astrology. It's Super Bowl time. It is a very big astrological shifts in a year of big astrological shifts. So, maybe we're just used to the bullshit by now, but also maybe this weekend kind of knocked your socks off a little bit, this pre-gaming. Maybe there was a shock, maybe there was some upheaval, maybe there was some electrocution happening inside your solar system, your own personal solar system that got asked a really big ask or got moved, whether you wanted to or not. There was a thunderstorm here this weekend, and it's summer. We don't really get those as much as we used to, and it felt so Uranus vibes to me. So here we are. It's Monday, and Uranus is moving into Gemini. And you guys, astrologers make big time fun of Geminis. Yes, we do. Number one, because it's stereotypically easy to make fun of Geminis. Hither, tither, Jekyll, Hyde, the twins. What's their personality? We don't know. Just don't date them. Ha ha ha. We all say it, and I'm sure some Geminis that makes them feel butthurt. But we say it for a reason, because Gemini is so social. Gemini rules neighbors, siblings, communications, technology, vibes, humans. It is a very human sign because it is represented by the twins, the good, bad, the dirty. So the last time Uranus was in Gemini was in the 40s, you guys. Like, not to be, a bummer, but there was a world war going on, and, vibes are happening here too. So that's not to suggest that something like that could happen, but it is to suggest that the paradigm is shifting and changing. And does Gemini know who they are truly? No, they don't. They're here for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They'll make Brinner. Don't even fuck with them. They won't even eat. They'll just snack all day, okay? For all of the ways that Gemini can shift and change and move. With our planet of shifting, changing, moving, shock, and awe, being in a sign that is all about moving and a grooving and a shaking and non-definitive, non-linear thinking, insert what are you going to do for the next 7 years here. It is going to move. It is going to vibe, and you're not always going to be able to control it or define it. And the high road of that is innovation, is getting incredibly innovative about what is changing in the world and what is changing inside of you, and to try to find the grounding therein, because the world is going to move us. Technology is going to groove us. And if we don't have the beat of our own drum to dance to, well, we're going to get knocked off the podium loads and loads and loads. We're going to fall down, and we're going to get up, and we're going to fall down again. And that's what Uranus moving into Gemini wants us to do. It's called conditioning. And we can't condition ourselves to change if we aren't open to change. So whether you want it or not, ready or not, here it comes. It is the biggest game of hide and go seek. What will help you the most in these next 7 years is to understand and know what it is you're personally looking for. What's the goal here? And, there are no accidents to me in the cosmos. And with this big, huge change happening, here comes this grounded, big deal full moon in Capricorn to help us, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is about life lessons. Saturn is about eating our vegetables, dotting our I's and crossing our T's, and making sure we're doing our due diligence. So to me, that means there's energy here that while things feel kind of out of control, kind of dicey, we're losing all kinds of things that we thought were ours to keep. It's like shedding off armor and you're going into battle. And that feels so counterintuitive. But I would argue that in a world that exists and revolves around war, that we ourselves imbibe and become the most vulnerable, open-hearted versions of ourselves. That we don't come with the weapons. Instead, we come with the heart. Instead, we come with a plan. Instead, we come with goals and manifestations that matter to us. Because if we're fighting other people's fights, then we have no time to think about what it is that we're doing here on this planet together. So, being curious, being open, but also having a game plan for yourself, having some wants, some goals, some desires to start tracking right now, this week. Get going if you haven't yet. I have a very specific directed focus. And so in times of uncertainty and big change, I try to lean in. That it could be the plot twist I've been waiting for, that the one person is going to hear the podcast, that the one client is going to come and it's going to set into motion something that could go beyond my wildest dreams. And what's that for you? Because big change isn't always sad. A lot of times it is, because we have to say goodbye to something in order to evolve to the next thing. I always think of that movie Inside Out, where she has to say goodbye to her imaginary friend Bing Bong in order to reach the next level of her growth. And I always cry at that scene because I love imaginary friends. I love divine innocence. I love imagination, and I still dwell there, but I've definitely had to say goodbye to some proverbial imaginary friends in order to adult in this very adult world. So what imaginary friend do you have to let go of? What is the Band-Aid that is getting ripped off you right now? And I want you to see it as a collective experience. Nobody gets out of this unscathed, guys. We're all going to experience loss. We're all going to experience something being taken from us in a shocky, traumatic kind of way, whether it's through heartbreak, whether it's through job loss, home loss. There was the floods in Texas that I've been following. There's so much in this world that takes. But if you don't believe in what it could give back, then the world can become a pretty dire place. And so it becomes that time where we lock in to our own beating hearts and accept that it hurts and move with the hurt and see what's on the other side of it. And that takes time. And we've got 7 years to acclimate to the change, but Uranus doesn't like to wait up for you. They're not going to wait until you tie your shoelaces. Absolutely not. It's happening whether you want it to or not. And I often find, being a woman who has periods, that, flow be coming whether I want her or not. And it's how I prepare for her. It's how I understand her, meet her, greet her, let go, surrender, and grow through the loss. That truly on that micro level, I prepare myself for the macro extremes of when things need to be let go of when we need to bleed out whatever isn't meant to be here anymore. And as heartbreaking as that is, it is this world. And the world has seen great tragedy and loss and war, and maybe we're up for that again. But even if we are, there is the poetry, there is the desire, there is the peace that exists in all of us that can create a new paradigm that doesn't have to be violent and hateful. We all get to choose. And we're all at a threshold right now. We're at the very edge. And this Monday, it's like we're toppling over that edge and diving into the great unknown. And there's a lot of hard stuff to deal with when that's happening, but there's also a lot of good stuff. And so as we carry on with the week and the big changes and the thunderstorms and the cataclysms and the heat rises and the pressure and the stakes rise, so too does our will, so too does our needs, so too does our voice. And that's what I want you to attune to, is your own sense of you-ness and how you can move, because what doesn't bend breaks. And to be inflexible in this life is to miss out on a lot of what life has to offer. If you are standing your ground, if your beliefs are so important to you, if your lifestyle is so important to you, your routines, your people, if things, material, are so important to you, then the experience of losing those things is the thing that will grow you the most. The experience of changing your mind, as I said last week, is such a powerful font to use in the writing structure of the rest of your life, because we can't always be so hard-headed. Now, I say that, and then here comes the full moon in Capricorn, Mr. Hard-headed, Mr. Lessons, Mr. Principal's office, but he's also an earth sign. And I like Saturn being here in this week because there's another conversation he's having at the end of the week on Saturday where Saturn is going to station retrograde in Aries. And so it's going to become a time to review. And so when all of this intensity is happening with Uranus, we have this pause and reflection from Saturn that's asking us to maybe redo the house of cards we built to make sure the foundations are a little bit better, to take apart a few pieces that weren't working in our world and to redo them better. And now a full moon is in opposition. So the opposing energy is that Cancerian home, mother, moon, meeting up with work, public life, and lessons. And so to me, when I see an opposition, it's like looking at the energy that is opposing you and moving towards it so that then the opposing energy moves towards you and you meet somewhere in the middle. There is time for rest and there is time for work. And that is what this week is teaching us. There is a time to change and a time to reflect. There is a time to move and there is a time to pontificate. And we use all of our senses in order to decide when we need to be doing what. And so the best thing we can do for ourselves, your very homework this week, my beautiful, lovely humans, is to let it all in, is to let the change move you. For better or for worse, in pain body or in joy, it really doesn't matter because they're two sides of the same coin. They are the opposition of each other, light and dark meeting joy and pain. They exist together. So if whatever one is on the docket for you, if you embrace it and hold it and say, I am going to understand you deeper, my joy, my pain, my grief, then your intuition body opens. Then your forward motion naturally moves you forward. I always say this, and I'll say it again and again, especially in hard astrological changing times. You have a 100% average of getting through these times so far because you're listening. And here we are in space together, and you've gotten through a million other things, and we'll get through a million other things more here together. But what helps us get through it better, what helps us learn the lesson in a more embodied way, is to get very intuitive and to start making plans for ourselves in a grounded, honorable way that honors what's changing and how we need to move in order to find what's seeking us. Because we're always seeking something. There's always the cookie. She's always there. There's always a cookie that we want. And sometimes it can be as simple as I want a nap today, but we have to get always through the things to get to the nap, to get to the cookie, to get to the life goal. Nothing happens from 0 to 5,000. And when they do, it's usually not an easy integration. You know, there's that whole documentary about lottery winners and how when they're just faced with all of this new money, all of a sudden they have all this money. It's like a curse. It's like none of their family members are who they thought they were. It's like they don't know how to invest properly. They just spend it all, and then they end up being more miserable than they were before the cataclysm happened. So Uranus is like that. Whether it's great joy or great grief or high intensity, it doesn't matter. It's big. And when things happen in a bigger way, it can be harder to integrate. It can be harder to understand. And sometimes we misuse our personality, we misuse our words, we misuse our actions, and we become very reactive. And so the biggest homework is to sit with it for a minute. Whatever it is, don't react. Just think about it. Just think about it, because it's Gemini. Gemini rules our thoughts and communications. And so with Uranus shaking it all up, if you can find that Capricorn full moon energy inside of you to, instead of reacting, to start planning, to start prepping, to start finding the sacred inside of yourself. So when something gets taken from you or when some big change happens to you, you are able to become that flexibility. You are able to be the yes that the plot change, the plot twist has been waiting for. Because as I'm teaching summer camp, which is, not my strongest suit all the time, we do a lot of improv, and because it's a theater camp, and in improv the rule is you have to say yes or the plot can't go forward. If you're improving and riffing with someone and you say no to that person, then you're leaving that person high and dry. There's nowhere to go. So when something is happening to you and you say no, you're kind of leaving yourself high and dry with nowhere to go. And so the goal is, when things are coming at you, it's not have no boundaries and say yes to everything and overwork yourself into the grave. That's not what we're talking about. It's when the vibes are coming at you. If you see, yes, I see you. Yes, I'll integrate you. Yes, I'll think about you. And yes, I'll start planning for you. Even though you're here and I wasn't expecting you, even though this thing happened and I wasn't expecting it, I'm going to say yes to what it's asking of me. And now, does that mean you need to know what it's asking of you? Absolutely not. Because our energy goes where we put it. And if you can be open, if you can show up with your whole heart, then it'll move you one way or the other. And there's much knowledge and much, high level growing we can do in times like these when the planets are changing us without us even necessarily being aware. Because if you weren't attuned to the astrology, there's loads of people that think astrology is dumb. Uranus is still coming for them too. So you have the added benefit of understanding the energy that's coming at you. So when it comes, you can let it wash over you instead of, that's kind of the thing about water too, right? If you're falling down water at a high velocity, it could break your bones because it comes like a steel wall. But the surrender, the embrace of the water can be both hard and soft and penetrating. And it's what we allow to wash over us. It's how we float versus swim. It's being able to understand what is needed in that moment so that we're not just taking a nosedive into a brick wall of water. We are instead surrendering, slowing our pace so that we may swan dive into that bitch, you guys. And the card I pulled is All That Glitters, because I do believe that our life, our world is being lit up right now, you guys. Uranus energy is that. It's the nervous system. It's the heart. It's all of these feelings that quicken, so a quickening of the heart, a quickening of the blood flow, the nerve endings on edge, the static electricity thunder of the moment. And I was feeling that so much as my own hometown had a little thunderstorm action and the sky turned all these different colors. And my partner and I went outside to look at the sky. And when we looked back at our home, at our structure, the house, its light was very cool toned. So it was very ET extraterrestrial shit going down. Okay. We looked back at the house and we're like, oh man, it looks like a completely different planet from inside to outside. And that's true for us too right now. From inside to outside, different planets right now. And how we're gonna planet hop is gonna really set us up for how we roll with how much things are going to change and how much our rhetoric is going to shift and technology is going to build and our communications are going to rise. And instead of being afraid of all of that, to see that it's highlighting the next generation, the next vibe, the very next thing that America, that the world, that us, that Anna, it's everywhere. We're all up for a little shifting. And I'll tell you what, if you're going to stay stubborn, if you're going to be stuck in your own beliefs, if you're going to be stuck in your own thought systems, because we're always telling ourselves stories all day, every day, if we get stuck in the cycle of our own old fables, then those old lessons start to be more relevant than the new lessons. And then what are we doomed to do, you guys? Repeat itself. We're doomed to repeat the same fable, the same trope, the same bullshit. And I don't know about you, but both politically, worldly, internally, I don't want to repeat it. I don't want to do it again. I want to do something different. So how are you going to be different this week? How are you going to embrace it? How are you going to cry through it, scream through it, laugh through it, love through it, have sex through it, make love through it, write poetry through it? Or be under the sheets and watch a show through it. But make sure that everything that you're doing is with intention. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, follow, all the good things. You know what to do. And I will see you next week.